Nobody goes to IKEA expecting to stay forever. You go in with a list, a coffee table maybe, some storage boxes, one of those little plants by the checkout that you don't need but buy anyway. You grab a hot dog on the way out, you go home. That's how it's supposed to work. Marcus had been to this IKEA a dozen times. He knew the layout better than most, knew the shortcuts, the staff-only doors that customers weren't supposed to use but always did, the spot in the marketplace section where the path curved, and you could cut 20 minutes off the whole loop if you knew where to turn. He went in on a Saturday afternoon in October. He was looking for a bookshelf. He never came back out. SCP-3008 looks, from the outside, exactly like a normal IKEA. Same blue and yellow building, same enormous parking lot, same arrows on the floor inside guiding you through the showroom in a long, winding path past bedroom sets and kitchen displays and living rooms that look almost real but not quite. The books on the shelves have no titles. The frames on the walls contain no photos. Everything is a version of a thing without being the thing itself. It is, in every visible way, an IKEA, except it has no exits. Or rather, it has exits. Doors marked with the green Running Man symbol, doors that should open onto a parking lot or a loading bay or a fire escape. But they don't open onto anything. Step through one and you are simply somewhere else inside the store. A different section, a different floor, somewhere deeper in, and the store goes on forever. Not metaphorically, not as an exaggeration, forever. The interior of SCP-3008 is physically impossible. The building, measured from the outside, is a standard commercial retail space, roughly 300,000 square feet, large but finite. A building you could walk the perimeter of in under 20 minutes. The interior has no perimeter. Explorers, and there have been many, people who went in and then spent weeks, months, years trying to map what they found, have walked in single directions for days without finding a wall. The showroom sections repeat, but not exactly. The same display rooms appearing again with small differences. A chair moved, a lamp missing, a door that wasn't there before now standing open onto another corridor of display rooms that stretch away into a distance that shouldn't exist inside a building. The ceiling is always the same, white, high, lit by the same flat commercial lighting that hums just barely at the edge of hearing. The lighting turns off sometimes. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows when it will happen. It just goes dark, completely, totally dark, the kind of dark you only find underground. And then sometime later, it comes back on. Because SCP-3008 is not empty. This is the part that matters. This is the part that changes it from a strange architectural anomaly, a building that is bigger on the inside, unsettling but manageable, into something else entirely. The employees are tall, too tall, 7 feet, some of them taller, with proportions that are close to human but not quite right, limbs a little too long, heads a little too large, faces that are smooth and featureless in a way that the brain refuses to accept and keeps trying to correct, keeps trying to see eyes and a mouth that aren't there. They wear the uniform, yellow and blue, name tags that say nothing legible. During the day, or what passes for day when the lights are on, they move through the stores slowly, straightening displays, pushing flatbed carts, doing what employees do. They do not acknowledge customers. They do not respond to questions. You can stand directly in front of one and speak to it, and it will look through you like you are not there. They are not dangerous during the lights. When the lights go out, they are something else entirely. Nobody knows exactly when people started getting trapped in SCP-3008. The anomaly was formally documented after a cluster of missing persons reports in the area surrounding the store. People who went in and simply never came out. No trace, no explanation. Cases that stayed cold because there was nothing to investigate. No crime scene, no evidence of anything except an absence where a person used to be. What is known is that by the time anyone understood what was happening inside, there were already survivors. People who had been in there for weeks, months, long enough to have figured out, through trial and error and loss, how to stay alive. They built camps. In the furniture sections, they pulled display sofas and beds into configurations that served as shelter. They used the cafeteria. The IKEA cafeteria exists inside SCP-3008. They learned which sections were safer than others. They learned to read the signs that the lights were about to go out of flicker. They learned to stay quiet in the dark. And they built something that, after long enough, started to look almost like a community. Not a good one, not a stable one, but people. living together, inside a store that had no end and no exit. Marcus found one of these camps 3 days after he went in looking for a bookshelf. He had been wandering for 3 days without sleep, without food, without understanding what was happening to him. He had tried every door he could find. He had followed the arrows on the floor until the arrows stopped. He had shouted until his voice gave out. And then he turned a corner in the bedroom section and found 11 people sitting around a collection of IKEA lamps wired together into something that functioned like a lantern. And a woman with a British accent who had been inside for 4 months handed him a plate of Swedish meatballs and told him, very calmly, to sit down. She told him the rules. Stay in groups, never alone. Mark where you've been. They used IKEA pencils, the little ones by the notepads near the display rooms, marking walls with arrows and dates and warnings. Learn the staff's patterns during the light. Get to shelter before the dark. And never, under any circumstances, make noise when the lights are out. Never. People have gotten out. This is the thing that keeps people going inside SCP-3008. The thing that stops the camps from collapsing entirely into despair sometimes. Randomly, without pattern or warning, an exit works. A door opens onto an actual parking lot, actual sky, actual cold air that smells like the world outside. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows how to make it happen. It doesn't correspond to any particular door or any particular action. It just happens sometimes. Marcus got out after 7 months. He was thinner. He didn't talk about what happened in the dark for a long time, but he got out through a fire exit in the kitchen section that he had tried 30 times before. On the 31st time, it opened onto a parking lot. He walked out into October air almost exactly a year after he went in and sat down on the concrete and didn't move for a while. He never went to an IKEA again, not even the normal ones. Because here's the thing about SCP-3008 that stays with you. The thing that Marcus said in the single interview he gave years later when asked what he thought about it all, he said the worst part wasn't the dark. It wasn't the staff or the hunger or the not knowing when or if he'd get out. It was the showrooms, all those perfect little rooms, staged and lit and arranged to look like someone lives there. A life-size doll's house version of a home, the couch, the rug, the lamp in the corner, the coffee table with the decorative bowl on it. Nobody lives there, nobody ever has, but someone set all of it up, arranged all of it. And it goes on room after room after room for miles, for as far as anyone has ever walked this endless simulation of domestic life, warm and lit and completely, perfectly empty. He said it felt like being inside loneliness. Like loneliness had been given a building and a floor plan and fluorescent lighting, and it just went on forever. SCP-3008 remains open. The parking lot is full on weekends. Families with children, couples arguing over furniture, people with lists and measuring tape, and the particular focused energy of someone who came in for one thing and is definitely leaving with 11 things. They go in through the entrance. Most of them come back out. Most of them. If you ever find yourself in the showroom section and the arrows on the floor stop making sense if you try a door marked exit and find yourself somewhere you don't recognize, find someone. Don't wander alone. Mark where you've been. And if the lights start to flicker, find somewhere to hide. And do not make a sound.